Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Fantasy Football Universe. I am your host, Aaron St. Dennis. Follow me everywhere at FF Mad Scientist. Today, I am once again riding solo as I've done all week long. And for today, it will be week 2 AFC home game previews. We start with Bills and Dolphins, which is the Thursday nighter. We have Jets, Titans, Seahawks at Patriots, Browns at Jaguars, Raiders at Ravens, Steelers at Broncos, Bengals at Chiefs, and the Sunday nighter Bears at Texans. So, going to be an exciting week. I know we had a lot happen there in week 1, some chaotic last-minute injuries. I know the key here is to not overreact to all the chaos that ensued and just kind of look through the week 1 data to see what we think holds and what we think is just an anomaly. So with that in mind, let's get right into it here. You have to bear with me. I'm working both sides of the screen today solo, so I am doing some things behind the scene here. Let's start with the Buffalo Bills at the Miami Dolphins. Obvious quarterbacks are Josh Allen here. I have him as my QB1 on the week against Tua. It is the 16th best matchup for Tua versus the 24th best matchup for Josh Allen. So it's a far better matchup for Tua. Obviously, that is with only 1 week of data. So when I am quoting any of those matchups, take it with a grain of salt. Some teams got a really easy matchup in week 1. So they are, they're off to a good start, and that data won't necessarily hold. They'll even out. So Josh Allen, my number 1 for the week. Tua's my number 11 for the week. I'm starting both. You're always starting Josh Allen. That goes without saying. No big surprise there. Move on to the running back rooms. We have James Cook, Ray Davis, and Ty Johnson as the Buffalo Bills running backs. They get the 18th best matchup. The Dolphins have Devon Achane, Jeff Wilson, and Jalen Wright. I know Raheem Mostert looks like he's going to miss this one. Devon Achane was also rumored to possibly miss this one. That's a scary situation. It's the 4th best matchup for them. Again, take it with a grain of salt. I think this is a situation where hopefully you added Jeff Wilson or Jalen Wright on your waiver wires this week. They both have RB2, so top 24 potential there. If it's Achane's healthy and it's just Achane, he's going to move way up in my rankings. I have him currently at 13. Not sure what his health status is, though, so I'm playing it cautiously optimistically. 1 spot above him at 12 is James Cook because it's pretty much just James Cook. Like I said, I think if Wilson or Wright get in here, it's going to be kind of like the San Francisco situation in years past, not this week. We don't know. Is it going to be Wilson? Is it going to be Wright? Is it going to be 50-50 split? So I wouldn't go too overboard there. Unless the starter's Achane and there's no Mostert, then it's wheels up there. The receivers we have for Buffalo, Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir, Curtis Samuel, Mac Hollins, MVS, and the Dolphins have Tyreek, Jalen Waddle, Braxton Berrios, and Malik Washington. It is the 23rd best matchup for the Dolphins and the 15th best matchup for the Bills. Obviously, my highest ranked is going to be Tyreek. He is my number 1 overall. I'm going to scroll down a bit here. Jalen Waddle is 13th because I do like the matchup. I get it's not ranked all that highly, but like I said, week 1, take it with a grain of salt. My highest Buffalo Bill, I'm trying to scroll through here, Khalil Shakir as wide receiver 35 overall, Keon Coleman at 41. I'd say they're both wide receiver 3 flex conversation, but I'm not thinking there's a whole ton of upside there. I get the Dolphins defense probably isn't that great, but I prefer Keon Coleman myself. I know Shakir seems to be the guy everyone was on all offseason. I just think there's far more upside with Coleman. As I said, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, firing them both up as a wide receiver 1. The tight ends are Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox for the Bills. And over on the Dolphin side, we have Jonnu Smith and Durham Smythe. Scrolling through here, we have Dalton Kincaid as tight end 6 for me. Dawson Knox, I'm sure, is ranked, but way out there. Jonnu's 24th for me, and Dawson Knox is 30th. Obviously, the one you want to start here is Dalton Kincaid. I think he gets far more targets in this one and becomes a much bigger part in the Buffalo offense. I don't so much love any of the other options here. What did I say? I had Knox at 30 and Jonnu at 24. I guess they're both desperation options if you have to. It's the 8th best matchup for Jonnu. It is the 4th worst matchup for Kincaid. But having said that, I still far prefer Kincaid. Alrighty. Let me see if I remember how to do this. Sorry, just trying to timestamp here, save myself some effort, but operating both ends of the show here is a little bit difficult. Next, we will move on to, what did I say? Jets at Titans. That's the next one. Where the hell is Jets at Titans? There it is. All right, Aaron Rodgers at Will Levis. Not great. I don't think I have either of these inside my top 20. Oh, I do. I have Aaron Rodgers at 20. And then I have Will Levis way down at 32. He is the last ranked of my starting quarterbacks this week. Will Levis looked terrible last week. Just absolutely brutal. It is the 26th best matchup, so bad one for him. Aaron Rodgers looked okay. It's the 2nd worst matchup for him after facing the worst matchup in the 49ers. So I've been saying all offseason it might be a rough start here for Aaron Rodgers. I think you could probably start him as your QB2 if you're forced to, but I don't love it. Rodgers going to have back-to-back terrible matchups here, and I don't think the Jets offense is going to look that great. Once again, he's not a must-sit, but he's not someone I'm actively looking to target. Someone I am looking to have on my in my starting lineup here is Breece Hall on the Jets. There's also Braylon Allen, Isaiah Davis, Izzy Abonaconda behind him. No interest there. Breece is my RB2 on the week. Tennessee, we got Tony Pollard, who looks to be the guy here. It's not really a split. He's got Tyjae Spears there, but Pollard got all the work. I am going to have Pollard as a low-end RB2. He is exactly 24. I don't know how far Spears fell, but it's a bit to 40. Spears fell to 40 for me. Not great. Let me check the matchups here. So it is the 2nd worst matchup for Breece. I absolutely do not care. I think they're going to struggle to throw, and you have to lean on your stud. For Tennessee, it is the... I cannot find the Tennessee Titans, guys. It's the 7th best. So Pollard, like I said, he's probably a low-end running back 2 here, but he is worth a start if you have him. I'm not really interested in Spears at this point. I'm just gonna hold him and see if this situation changes. But for now, he's pretty much unplayable. Receivers, we've got Garrett Wilson, Alan Lazard, Mike Williams, Malachi Corley, Xavier Gibson, who get the 25th best matchup, so not great. And the Tennessee Titans have Calvin Ridley, DeAndre Hopkins on a torn ACL, I guess, Tyler Boyd, Treylon Burks, Nick Westbrook-Akine. They get the 12th best matchup. I don't so much care there. My highest in this one is going to be Garrett Wilson at 12, and then I bet you it's a ways before my next my next Jet or Titan on this. It is all the way down at wide receiver 40 for Calvin Ridley. So Garrett Wilson, you're firing up as a wide receiver 1. The rest of the guys in this matchup, I guess they're desperation flex options at best. The tight ends we have for the Jets, Tyler Conklin, Jeremy Ruckert, and for Tennessee, Chig Okonkwo. For this one, I think I actually have Chig moving up a bit here. I'm looking out. They're both, I may have to update that. I have Chig still at tight end 26. I was actually a little bit more hopeful of him after watching last week. Tyler Conklin, I still have at 19. I think he's streamable. I think both of these guys are actually streamable in this matchup. 16th best matchup for Chig. It is the 27th best matchup for Conklin. Matchups don't really play, obviously, here. Like I said, Chig looked like he might be the number 1 target on this Titans offense because they are that pathetic. I don't love it. It's a desperation stream here if you need it or if you have to start two tight ends. But I think there is some real potential there for Chig. Well, let's see a comment here. Got requested a trade for Mike Evans for Devonta Smith. I prefer... What? Mike Evans for Devonta Smith, Raheem Mostert, Mark Andrews, and Christian Kirk? Okay, you're giving up 4 players for Mike Evans? I don't love that. My team already had a good lineup, and Devontae would only take up Mike Evans' spot because it's Brown, blah, blah, blah. I also have McBride. I don't care. I want the package on this side. You're giving up a top tight end. You're giving up probably a wide receiver 2, a wide receiver 3, and if Mostert's healthy, a running back 2. I don't know which side yours is. It's a little bit poorly worded, but give me the 4 players. I get if you want to consolidate assets here, but giving up 4 startable players for 1 wide receiver 2 is not something I'm interested in doing. No, thank you at all. The next game we have up on our agenda is the Seattle Seahawks at New England Patriots. Boy, doesn't that sound like a fun game. A Super Bowl rematch. Teams are a little different now. Quarterback, we've got Geno Smith against Jacoby Brissett. Bet you didn't think you'd hear that in 2024. Highest ranked here, I have Geno at 25, Brissett at 27. Neither of them look particularly good. Brissett gets the 17th best matchup. Geno the 29th or 29th best, so fourth worst. They're fourth worst. So it's not great for either. I don't mind Geno if you have to play a measured QB2. I have little to no interest here in Jacoby Brissett, so he's going to be staying on my bench if I roster him, which I don't. The running backs here, Ken Walker, who has stated he is healthy despite the abdominal issue, backed up by Zach Charbonnet and Kenny McIntosh. Patriots side of the ball, we got Ramondre Stevenson, Antonio Gibson, JaMychal Hasty. Ramondre Stevenson is going to be one of the big movers for me. I have Ken Walker ranked highest at 15, but I have Ramondre up to 20, and that is probably still too low. He's going to be moving up. The volume he had last week was just absolutely elite. It is the 22nd best matchup for Walker, 30th best matchup for Stevenson, so that's probably why he's a little lower in my rankings. I do love the workload. I don't love this offense when they face a team that's actually going to score. I don't know what the hell was wrong with the Bengals, but they looked awful last week. Having said that, I'm willing to start both of them as Walker as a high-end RB2. I guess Stevenson has a mid-range RB2. Obviously, Stevenson might be the safer play here because you don't have the injury concern, but he definitely has the worst offense. Wide receivers here, we got DK, JSN, Tyler Lockett, Jake Bobo on the Seattle Seahawks, who are getting the 27th best matchup. Patriots have a collection of misfits that get the 19th best matchup. Demario Douglas, Jalen Polk, KJ Osborne, Tyquan Thornton, Javon Baker, Kayshon Boutte, bunch of guys just all over the place. I am sure my top 3 ranked in this are probably Seahawks. Maybe not, but let's look. DK is my highest at 25. No surprise there. Next up, we have JSN at 46, Tyler Lockett at 48. My first Patriots, probably Demario Douglas. He's been my guy. It's Demario Douglas, but it is at 64. So you have DK, who I believe is a must start. He is going to be in the wide receiver 2 range. Then you've got 2 more Seahawks who are streamer flex worthy as a wide receiver 3 in JSN and Lockett. And you've got a whole collection of Patriots here where it's kind of pick your poison between Douglas, Polk, Thornton, Baker. If you're really desperate, there are worse options. I don't love any of them particularly. It's kind of a mess there. Tight ends we have for the Seattle Seahawks. We've got Noah Fant getting the 20th best matchup. Hunter Henry getting the 25th best matchup. I don't believe I have either of these ranked inside my top 20. I do. I have Hunter Henry at 18. I will have to see where I have Noah Fant. Noah Fant down at 25. They are both desperation starts, I guess, unless you start 2 tight ends. I don't think any of them's better than a low-end tight end 2, and they're going to continue both of them, even more so, I guess, for Henry. They're tight end dependent, pretty much tight end or bust. That's kind of how Henry's always been, so no surprise there. Next up, we've got Browns at Jaguars. Sorry, got to scroll down here. Quarterbacks, Deshaun Watson against Trevor Lawrence. I am not sure. Let's see the rankings I have. Neither of them ranked inside the top 12. Trevor Lawrence at 21, Deshaun Watson at 23. Deshaun Watson, I'm giving a bit of a pass to for week 1. That Cowboys defense is legit. He gets the 9th best matchup this week in the Jags. This is make it or break it here for me and Deshaun. If he doesn't produce in this matchup, then I am going to be officially out. Trevor Lawrence, who I cannot freaking currently find right now. Trevor Lawrence, 23rd best matchup. Like I said, I have him at 21. These are both low-end QB2s. If you're in Superflex, you're starting them. If you're in single QB, you're not. And at this point, you're probably a week away from dropping both of them. I know I dropped Trevor Lawrence in a couple of leagues this week. Deshaun Watson, like I said, I also have one more week with him. I have a little bit longer leash for Lawrence, but Watson, I think, if it's make or break here, if he doesn't hit this week, he is dead to me for fantasy, especially with all the controversy swirling this week. Running backs, we've got Jerome Ford, Pierre Strong, Nyheim Hines on the Browns. We have Travis Etienne, Tank Bigsby, who got a much larger role than I expected for the Jags. It is the 8th best matchup for the Browns. The Jags get the 17th best matchup. I'm certain Etienne is my highest ranked here, even though I was concerned. Etienne is my RB16. Jerome Ford is RB24, so we've got a high-end RB2, low-end RB2. I actually kind of feel a little bit more confident in Jerome Ford's workload. Tank Bigsby was a lot more productive on the ground than I expected him to be. He is creeping into my top 40 here. He is RB40 exactly. I'm still not at the point where I'm starting him, but Bigsby is someone I definitely want to hold on to for the future. This one really scares me. This could limit Etienne's upside. Obviously, Bigsby didn't cut into his pass catching role or pass catching work at all, but he was much more efficient on the ground, and that could be a problem if he just takes away all the groundwork there. Ground game, I guess. Wide receivers, Amari Cooper, Jerry Jeudy, can't say that name, and Eli Mitchell for the Browns. Guess we've also got Cedric Tillman and Jamari Thrash, but they're irrelevant. Jag side, we've got Christian Kirk, Brian Thomas Jr., Gabe Davis, Parker Washington. It is the 8th best matchup for the Jags, 7th best matchup for the Browns. So we have some usable players here. This is going to be a tough one who my highest ranked is. I was always the Amari Cooper guy, but I don't think it is here. It's Brian Thomas Jr. at 33, so that doesn't really surprise me there. Oh, no, it's not. I stand corrected. It's Amari Cooper at 23, Brian Thomas Jr. at 33, Kirk at 37. Then we've got a collection a little further down of, Jerry Jeudy, Gabe Davis, I think are both still in the streamable flex desperation play here. I think there's still some upside for Jeudy. I still think there's some upside for Gabe Davis, but Amari Cooper I have as a wide receiver too. And then I think Kirk, BTJ are in the 2-3 borderline here. And like I said, after that, it's some desperation plays. The tight ends, David Njoku against Evan Engram. Evan Engram will be my highest ranked in this one. It is Engram's the 23rd best matchup. Njoku gets the 24th best matchup, so the matchups don't sway it. I have Engram at tight end 9. Njoku, I believe I have not ranked right now. He is not in my rankings. He is dealing with an injury, and I'm uncertain at this point if he's even going to play. If he does play, you start him. He's a top 12 tight end, but it is definitely concerning that he may not be healthy. Having said that, I give a little bit more leeway, like I said, to all the Cleveland players on offense here because they had a rough matchup to start the season. The Cowboys are not how you want to go. All righty. Okay. Puka or James Cook rest of season? James Cook. I know Puka probably has more upside and will be better, but Puka's out at least 4 weeks. James Cook's not. I get when he comes back, Puka's probably going to have a lot of production, but I hate dealing with these injured players because your best case scenario here is he's gone the next 4 weeks. What happens if he's just not ready the next 4 weeks and that turns into 6 or 8 weeks and then Puka's trying to outproduce him in half a season? So just give me James Cook. I want the safe play unless you're really desperate there at wide receiver. The next game on our agenda, is Raiders at Ravens. Why does sleeper tab? There we go. Gardner Minshew against Lamar Jackson. I wonder who I have ranked higher here. The quarterbacks are 14th best matchup for Gardner Minshew. Lamar gets the 25th best matchup. Doesn't matter to me. Lamar is QB4 for me this week. Gardner is probably, 31. The only starting quarterback he's ranked higher than for me is Will Levis. No interest in starting Minshew. I am playing Lamar everywhere, but that's no surprise to anyone. I don't think anybody is ever sitting Lamar Jackson. The running backs were an interesting situation for Vegas. Played out how I kind of suggested during the offseason, but not how many people suggested. Zamir White was not just the bell cow and looks to be in a split with Alexander Mattison, who looks to be getting all the pass catching work. On the Baltimore side of things, we have Derrick Henry and Justice Hill. Henry was disappointing last week. That's going to happen in the weeks where the Ravens are underdogs. This week, they're going to be heavy favorites. Derrick Henry is going to be rode right into the ground. He's top 10 for me. This week, he is number 9 overall. I don't think I have either Raider inside the top 30. I have Zamir White at 36, Alex Madison at 47. I don't really have any interest in either of them except out of desperation. Firing up Henry everywhere. Henry is the 9th best matchup for running backs. Madison gets the 23rd best, so it's also not a great matchup for the Raiders. The wide receivers here, we have Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers on the Raiders, Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, Nelson Aguilar, blah, 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 a bunch of garbage on the other side here once we get down the depth chart. I'm sure my highest ranked is going to be Devontae Adams. It is, but they're all ranked pretty low. Devontae Adams, yes, it is. Devontae Adams at 24 for me. Zay Flowers at 26. I don't really have any interest in anyone else here. I'm sure I might have Jacoby Myers in streaming range, but he is down. No, he's not, I guess, 51. So I have 2 low to mid-range wide receiver 2s here, and then I don't really want to start anyone else. 17th best matchup for the Ravens, 6th best matchup for the Raiders. I don't know. This Raiders offense looked pretty ugly. Might be Brock Bowers, who's the number 1 target on the Raiders, which is a scary notion. If you have Devontae Adams, you're still firing him up. I'm starting to check my expectations a bit there. That team did not look good against a bad Chargers defense last week. The tight ends are the interesting part for the Raiders. Bowers has the 6th best matchup. Got Michael Mayer there too, who factored in a little bit. 15th best matchup for Mark Andrews with Isaiah Likely there. I'm not necessarily buying in on the Isaiah Likely hype. I think teams are going to have to stop double teaming Mark Andrews and play this straight up. So Andrews should rebound this week. He's still only my tight end at 7. I've got Isaiah Likely at 11. Brock Bowers is the highest I've had him ranked in a while. Well, I guess since the offseason. He is tight end 10 for me right now. So I think you've got a couple of guys stream worthy there. Isaiah Likely is not ideal, but there's situations where I could play him. Can I expand on Marvin Harrison Jr. over BTJ? Oh, I didn't even see that in there. I'm not taking BTJ over Marvin Harrison Jr. I get that people are overreacting to 1 week, but the Dolphins were a bad defense. I get that Bills aren't the greatest defense either, but I don't think there's any way that Marvin Harrison Jr. doesn't outproduce Brian Thomas Jr. this year. And Brian Thomas Jr. did look pretty good, but I think the problem in week 1 was the average depth of target for Marvin Harrison Jr. was like 12 and a half yards, and that's a tough way to win in the NFL. So they're going to have to, start working him in the shorter areas of the field, and I think he's going to be just fine. I think he bounces back this week. Brian Thomas Jr., I think there's a couple of decent players there. Christian Kirk, I don't hate Gabe Davis, so I don't think he has it all to himself, whereas Marvin Harrison Jr., it's him and a tight end. So I'm still taking Harrison. I get it. BTJ looked great. Harrison was awful. Don't overreact. It's 1 week. All right. Next game on the agenda, Steelers at Broncos. Yuck. Where can I find this one? Give me one sec, guys. Steelers at Broncos. There we go. Justin Fields allegedly is the starting quarterback against Bo Nix. It is the 28th best matchup for Bo Nix, and Justin Fields and the Steelers get the 7th best matchup. So we all know in the past the Denver Broncos have been a fantasy football gold mine. I don't think I have Justin Fields in the top 12. He's on the borderline there. He's 16 overall. The other side, Bo Nix is probably my third ranked starter. He is only above Gardner Minshew and Will Levis. Still not done with Bo Nix. It was 1 week. He looked awful, but I think he bounces back. I don't necessarily think he does it this week against the pretty damn good defense, but if you have to start in Justin Fields, he's definitely a good starter in the or in Superflex, but I don't think I'm putting him in as my QB1 in a single QB unless I have to. There is some upside there, but we still, truthfully, we don't know if Russell Wilson's going to play this week, and that's why I said not to go crazy on him on the waiver wire. Running backs here, we've got Najee Harris, Jaylen Warren, Cordero Patterson is somehow still relevant. Najee, it's the 5th best matchup. The Broncos, we've got Jaleel McLaughlin, Javonte Williams, Audric Estime, Blake Watson. They are the 24th best matchup. I am all in on Najee on the Steelers side of the ball, at least until Jaylen Warren gets healthy. I think that's why we've seen he had barely any touches. Cordero Patterson is dust. Najee probably is my top 20. He is 22. Najee's 22. On the Broncos side of the ball, I have no interest in any of these guys right now. You just hold and hope they turn it around. I don't imagine they're inside my top 30. Javante's my highest at 33. Jaleel McLaughlin at 35. So you have, pretty much a RB2 in Najee and nobody else I'm willing to even look at in this one. It's pretty gross. Moving on to the wide receivers, Pittsburgh's got George Pickens, Van Jefferson, Roman Wilson, who we're not sure health-wise, Calvin Austin, and Scotty Miller. The Steelers get the 21st best matchup. The Broncos have the 3rd worst matchup. Don't want any of them. Cortland Sutton, Josh Reynolds, Devon Bailey, Marvin Mims, Troy Franklin. Had some hope for some of these guys, but it is damn ugly. George Pickens is going to be by far my highest ranked player here. He's going to be a wide receiver 2 for me. He's not. He's 26, so he's still just outside the top 24. He is a worthwhile start there as a wide receiver 2 or a 3. I don't think I have anyone else here. I have no Steelers, I'm sure. I would be willing to bet Cortland Sutton is my highest, and he is wide receiver 44 overall. So Cortland Sutton, I guess, is an absolute desperation start, but good God, am I not looking to do it. For me, this one's George Pickens, I think, has a day. I think Najee Harris has a day, and I don't really want anyone else on either of these teams. Including the tight ends, we've got Freiermuth versus Dulcich. I would imagine Freiermuth is 15th. Yep. 15th, and Dulcich is 27 for me. The matchups, Dulcich top 3 matchup, 3rd best matchup, I should say. And Freiermuth, it is only the 26th best matchup. I think that the Broncos are so easy to beat on defense that you simply don't need to use the tight end position here. So I am going to load up, like I said, load up on Najee, load up on Pickens, and I'm not really too concerned or too interested in anybody else in this game. Well, for the Steelers anyways. I guess I'm not really interested in anyone, period, because the Broncos are just nasty. Our next matchup, second last one, we've got the Bengals at the Chiefs. You would think this would be a good game. It was a few years ago, not so much now with the Bengals being in disarray. We got Joe Burrow against Patrick Mahomes. 5th best matchup for Burrow. 3rd worst matchup for Mahomes. I don't think it matters. Mahomes is still my QB 5, actually, so that's lower than I've had him. Burrow's still my QB 15, so it tells you how bad he was last week and how bad the matchup is. He came out on my projections that low. Firing up Mahomes everywhere. You can start Burrow if you have him. I'm certainly not dropping him. Continuing to hold on here. I think there's still hope. But that could be biased because I bought myself a shitload of Cincinnati Bengals shares during the offseason because I thought they were good buy low. I may have been wrong. Moving on to running backs, it appeared to be the Zach Moss show here in Cincinnati in week 1. Chase Brown was not a huge factor. It is the 16th best matchup for them. We have Isaiah Pacheco and Samaje Perine with Carson Steele on the Chiefs, 14th best matchup for them. So overall, it's just average matchups. Pacheco is going to be my highest. Having said that, he is still at, he is very high. That's why I couldn't find him. He's my RB3 on the week. I have Pacheco wheels up this week. My highest Bengal is obviously Zach Moss. He is 27. He's probably still startable. He's definitely flexible. I don't really want anyone else. Chase Brown, I'm going to still continue to hold. Samaje Perine, I don't think we're going to get much out of, but he's another one where it probably warrants a hold. The wide receivers, we have Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Andre Yoshivas, Trenton Irwin, Jermaine Burton, Charlie Jones, a whole bunch of guys here. 26th best matchup. For the Chiefs, we have Rashee Rice, Hollywood Brown, who I think is still going to be out this week, Xavier Worthy, Justin Watson, Juju, and Mecole Hardman. They get the second worst matchup for receivers. My highest ranked in this one is obviously going to be Jamar Chase. I have him at 6. After that, it's probably going to be Higgins. We're going to scroll a little here. I'm not too sure. After this, we have, it's Worthy at 30, unless I've missed Higgins here. No, I have Higgins unranked because of the injury uncertainty. So I don't really know where to project them. I think I want to wait and get some more info here. So Jamar Chase is obviously fire him up as a wide receiver 1. Higgins, I think, is more of a high-end wide receiver 3 if he plays. Not really interested in any of the other Bengals. I'll stash Yoshivas. On the Chiefs side of the ball, Rashee Rice is my guy. I know everyone's going to say Xavier Worthy because he was awesome. He ran like 40% go routes. And in the last 20 years, the best finish by a wide receiver running more than 30% go routes was last year. George Pickens, wide receiver 30. Xavier Worthy is going to be your Deshaun Jackson. 1 week, he's going to put up awesome numbers, and then he's going to disappear for 3 games. Rashee Rice, I think, was easily the obvious target earner here. He's going to be the one. I will start him as a wide receiver 2-3. I'll probably start Worthy as a wide receiver 2-3, and Hollywood's flex Worthy if he plays. Moving on to the tight ends here, we have Travis Kelce on the Chiefs, obviously, with Noah Gray behind him. Mike Gesicki on the Bengals. Don't imagine I have Gesicki ranked that high. It is the second best matchup for Gesicki, 11th best matchup for Kelce. Despite a bad week, I have Kelce at 3, and Gesicki's going to be way down. Gesicki's at 22, which is, I know it doesn't sound like much. That's higher than I expected. I have no interest in starting Gesicki with that in mind. And Travis Kelce, you're going to fire him up and just hope that the wheels haven't finally come off and he hasn't hit the end of the road, which is entirely possible. All right, we got one question here. 14-team league. Allen, Jacobs, Achane, Rice, Pittman, McBride. Need a flex option. Shakir, Coleman, Benson, Bigsby, Parkinson, Dortch, Jeff Wilson. Do I go after Zeke or Zach Moss? Zach Moss, I'm going after. I take Zach Moss over anyone you listed from Shakir on. Zach Moss is easily the number 1. I like Bigsby there. So I would rank, if you want to rank all these options here from Shakir on, the ones I'm looking at, Zach Moss first, Jeff Wilson 2, if you hear that Raheem Mostert is out. Jeff Wilson 1 if Achane is also out. But for now, he's 2. Bigsby 3, Zamir White 4, Zeke 5. Then we would go Coleman, Shakir, Benson. So your option here for me is all running back. Zach Moss is a slam dunk if you can get him. It's not even close. Even if Jeff Wilson doesn't have Achane or Mostert, I still think it's Zach Moss, but Wilson would be the close second in that situation. All right, and then we'll close it out with the Sunday nighter, Bears and Texans, because that's not going to be one-sided at all. Caleb Williams, CJ Stroud. I have CJ as QB 11 this week. I have Caleb way down at 20. I was not impressed by Caleb last week. He is the 4th best matchup. CJ Stroud has the 27th best matchup. It's still Stroud. I said this. I don't necessarily think it's Caleb's bad. A team with this many new pieces is going to take a while to really get in sync. They got, a new running back, a rookie quarterback, a rookie receiver, free agent receiver. It's just there's too many new pieces here. They've really got to work things out here. So for now, I am still firing up CJ, obviously, and the Bears. I have no interest really in starting Caleb right now. In Superflex, you're going to have to. The running back situation here, we have on the Bears, we've got DeAndre Swift, Roschon Johnson, if he's healthy, Khalil Herbert, and then we have Joe Mixon, and pretty much no one else on the Houston side because Joe Mixon just took it all in week 1. Joe Mixon, 13th best matchup. The Bears have the 5th worst matchup. I don't really want any of the Bears. It's another situation where there's too many mouths to feed. It's even worse if Roschon comes back. I said Jeff Wilson. Did I not say Jeff Wilson? He was my second one. Zach Moss is the easy one. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Joe Mixon's going to be by far my highest ranked in here. I have Mixon at 5. I do not have another like a Bears running back here inside my top 20. Swift at 28. He goes even lower if Roschon plays. The Bears are too volatile all around. And the one I have the most shares of is the guy I thought was going to be the best, Keenan Allen, because what do young quarterbacks do? They lean on the veteran. And that's what we've seen in week 1. They just leaned on the veteran Keenan Allen, who we now get to with the Bears receivers, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Tyler Scott, Velus Jones. Feel like I missed Rome Odunze. Why do they not have Sleeper doesn't have Rome Odunze listed on the depth chart? I know he was bad, but he wasn't that bad. 5th best matchup. So then on the Texans, we got Nico, Steph Diggs, Tank Dell, Robert Woods, Xavier Hutchinson, John Mechie. They are the 4th worst matchup. I still think I'm going Nico as my favorite here. And this is going to be crazy, but I'm going Keenan Allen over DJ Moore. Just bringing up my rankings. This is probably the closest where we have, if you count Rome Odunze, we have 6 receivers in this game, and they're the tightest bunched here. I think Odunze is easily my lowest ranked. I think we have a collection here of DJ Moore, Allen, Diggs, Nico, Dell, all wide receiver 2s, 2-3 borderline. I think Nico's going to be the highest for me. After that, I want to go Keenan Allen. So I have Nico at 15. Next up, I have 19. I have Keenan Allen, 20, DJ Moore, Tank Dell, 29. So like I said, it's a lot of wide receiver 2-3 borderline guys here. The best option for me is Nico. I prefer Keenan Allen. You may not be crazy like me. Their sleeper projections are almost identical, so they kind of agree here. I think the rookie's just going to lean on the veteran when he struggles. So I think you can pretty much start any of these guys. I don't want to start Rome Odunze. I'd start 3 Texans receivers as a 2 or a 3, and I'd start both of the Bears in the same situation. The tight ends, not anyone I want to start here. We have Cole Kmet, Gerald Everett on the Bears, Dalton Schultz, Brevin Jordan on the Texans. 4th best matchup for the Texans. I don't care. Worst matchup for the Bears. Cole Kmet's actually my sit of the week, my must sit. The highest I have Dalton Schultz as tight end 17, but I'm going to move him down. I have Kmet as 21. There are just too many mouths to feed here in the Chicago offense. They're struggling to get things on track. I just don't see a pathway to success for Cole Kmet, so I have no interest there. Allen with a heel injury. Can't find much news, but something to watch during the week. Thank you, Jeremy. Need to pick up a defense who's droppable. Don't overreact to any of the week 1 crap. I'm not dropping anyone like Jets, Ravens, Niners. This week, a good stream if you can get them. The LA Chargers, they face the Carolina Panthers, and they are pretty much, if you have a Charger, start them this week. I also think the Steelers look good against Denver, the Colts against the Packers with Malik Willis starting. So those 3 I don't think the Steelers are going to be available. The Chargers should be readily available pretty much wide across the world. The Colts should probably be available. Aside from that, maybe you want to go the Seahawks against the Patriots, but I would definitely look at the Chargers. I think they're most likely to be available, and I think they have the best upside this week against an absolutely abysmal looking Panthers offense. Next question is, we're ranking these? Is that what this is? Bucky, Benson, Palmer, Dotson. Palmer, Bucky, Benson, Dotson, I think. Although the Chargers offense, I think, is going to be volatile. It's, they're all splitting targets pretty much, and it just bounces around. But I think it's Palmer from week to week. Bucky Irving, I think, carved out enough of the ground game, but he's not getting any of the passing role. It's still going to Rachaad White. I think it hurts White more than it helps Bucky. I guess Bucky, it means he's not irrelevant, so I guess it helps him too. Trey Benson's an elite handcuff, but I'm not looking to start him, and I have no interest in Dotson. So, unless we have any last-minute questions here, thank you all for tuning in to the Week 2 AFC home game previews. Check back tomorrow for the NFC home game previews, where we take the rest of the games, including Monday Night Football, Falcons at Eagles. Thank you all for tuning in. Take care, and we'll see you tomorrow.